let's jump into this Dubai piece. Dubai taking the first steps to creating a commercial drone network as it sets out plans for miniature helipads and an air traffic control system. So the Dubai Sky Dome project will pave the way for the package deliveries and even the transport of passengers. And it will basically create an infrastructure for UAVs that could connect buildings through runways, miniature airports across the city. And then their air traffic control system would be called Dubai Shield. What are some of your guys' thoughts when seeing this?
Well, is Dubai actually going to be ahead? One of the things with Dubai that, and I was cautious about this article to get started, is they're very, very future forward on the headlines.
Yeah.
But they're almost like Google in the sense that like they get excited about a project and then drop it a year later.
Right. It's IoT or it's blockchain or it's something that they're implementing citywide.
Yeah, but this one does seem like it seems like a bigger effort, right? That they're actually thinking about a long-term plan, and that's what's being committed here. So I definitely want to. I was happy you kind of dug this one up, CJ, because I think this will be something to kind of track.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years to see if Dubai, like Singapore or Europe in a lot of senses, Switzerland, becomes kind of a center of innovation when it comes to UAS.
Well, when you guys sent the list of articles that we were going to talk about, I was really happy. And actually, Brian and I emailed back and forth about this article because I just came out a couple of days ago. And he and I have been talking back and forth in email about a lot of this stuff for months now. And Dubai is very interesting. Because they were one of the first to have the tracking. I can't remember what they called it. They called it something besides the Sky Dome, but they to have all of the small drones be registered and then have the ability to track them all in a central location.
Remote ID type of.
Yeah, it's almost an RID requirement already in place, and so to see them go after this. This holistic view of airspace management between, all airspace and low altitude airspace to include, the small airports and stuff. It to me, it is significant. You could probably accuse them a little bit of, and I actually had some feedback in that project I was talking about how, places like Dubai and Shanghai, maybe, or places in China might do this more just to further themselves on the global stage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this is a little different because the reason I like what I read in there is because they're actually looking at infrastructure, and I think that, and I think Brian will agree with me that that's one of the hugely overlooked areas in urban air mobility or AAM, but urban air mobility specific, is that you have all these companies that are investing millions and millions of dollars, and what is probably $1.5 billion plus invested in just the platform makers for UAM so far. And there's not been a whole lot of investment in what's the infrastructure going to look like. And that's huge.
Yeah, Yuri from AOPA said that to me at InterDrone last year. Just talking, it was actually that was in your session, that panel, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking about are you going to retrofit current landing pads? Thinking in terms of 5G infrastructure, is that there to support an UTM or RID? There's a lot of work that has to go into, it's not everything's local to the vehicle, right? That actually makes this whole thing work.
Yeah. I bet Brian has a lot of input on this because I know you've been talking to people about it.
On the Dubai thing, I'm pretty skeptical. I'd love to see what they do. I agree with you that I'm happy to see that it's an inclusive thing that includes the infrastructure and integrating these aircraft into the larger airspace system and everything. It'd be great if they really follow through and do something like this. And in a year or so, we can see how the system is working and everyone else can learn from their example. I think that'd be fantastic. I don't know. I'm not really holding my breath. I agree that I think they always like to make big announcements. I've heard rumors that a number of, I don't want to name names of companies, but I've heard rumors that some of the early UAM OEMs, so to speak, that were flying in Dubai had some incidents that have not really made it to the headlines.
Well, I'll name one. I mean, EHang was supposed to be in there doing that, and then they're not all of a sudden. So I don't know if anything happened, but it makes you wonder. And, you and I talked about, I hate that design, and people can, yell at me or disagree with me or whatever. But I just, in fact, I sent an email because, I've been through courses of aerodynamic engineering and took courses on everything. I've never designed an aircraft, but I can sit there and look at the EHang 216 and see that the rotors, within inches of each other. Are you going to have to go buy those things to enter that aircraft? I mean, that's just an accident waiting to happen. I just hate the design. Yeah. So I think they might have a little more. What's the word I want to use? They might have a little more success with the cargo only version of that. Sure. And then they're also their cargo drone. But beyond that, the Dubai thing, it interests me because the one thing that they have there is the ability to change the rules right now.
That's true. That's true.
If they commit to it, they can make it happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's a great opportunity. Evidence of that.
Right, and that is a great opportunity. We have a guest star. Sorry, hold on. All right,
he decided he was too good for the stage.
Off the kitchen table, please. No, right back on. Okay. I completely agree. It's a great opportunity for everybody else to learn from the example of a country that can just up and change the rules however they want. And on the EHang thing, I think last week, I was interviewing Garret-Glaser, the CEO of Wisk, the joint venture between Kitty Hawk and Boeing, and he actually named EHang and said, people asked him what he was worried about, what he thought about competitors, and he said he's very worried about the, quote, aggressive strategy of EHang, because if something goes wrong, it, of course, is very damaging for the entire industry. So he did name them. Yeah. And he's completely right. But back to the infrastructure stuff, the investment in infrastructure, I think that the money is there. There's a lot of larger investors. I know very well Michael Diamond from Nexa, is looking for opportunities everywhere he can. And I think he was very instrumental in, he put a lot of the money up to build Canada's ADS-B system, I think. So they've got a lot of cash. And they're looking to spend it on UAM infrastructure. But people are waiting on, guidance from regulators. I've heard that the update to the what is it, AC 150, the heliport advisory circular, is going to come out in the next month or two, I think. And it's not really making any changes. It's mostly just condensing the document to make it a little easier to get through. But I think people are waiting on those sorts of guidance from the FAA to come out so they know, okay, where am I going to be able to invest my money and not have it be, inusable.